Thank you for ChemAxon and invite me for the talk about the application migration, the challenge and approach in the migration of chemistry infrastructure for the system applications. This is for two people, authored by me and Edith, and I will be physically presenting this talk. Just give me some history information about migration in BI. In 2008, we started to looking for MDL alternative. We have a project called MDL alternative, and try to looking for the market option in terms of chemistry infrastructure. We evaluated ChemAxon, Accelerate Accord at that time called Accelerate, and the CMIX MDL, of course, we already have, and the Cambridge Soft. With the conclusion of this evaluation was it is too costly to do that work because we did not have solid data information by knowing that how much cost, how much resource we need. But we also realized the ChemAxon soft technology has advantage, and we decided to engage ChemAxon as much as possible so that we can leverage that benefit from them. So after 2008, I happened to be able to manage a project called ERMS, which is external request management system. System allows us to request compound synthesis for CRO in China or India. One of the key requirements was not able to fulfill by MDL technology. So it's an opportunity for me to introduce ChemAxon, and which allow me to fulfill this key requirements, which is present in 2010 UGM meeting. After that, 2011 to 2012, where people start to realize the technology, and we decided to go to in-depth evaluation of ChemAxon technology in our environment to see how much cost, really get an understanding how much cost we're talking about. Again, use the ERMS as a pilot project to understanding that introduce the cartridge, introduce all this ChemAxon technology, how much time we need. We benchmarked the time and use that number to estimate how much time we will need for the other systems. After that, 2013, we decided to go ChemAxon technology, sign the contract, and we started to migrate different system and application. This is just a quick summary of 2010. I have the similar kind of talk, which at that time we did not sign the contract, but we are talking about how we address the concern and what is the reality of this migration. In that presentation, I mentioned the history of a chemistry infrastructure. We mentioned the ChemAxon as a good option, and we mentioned about the potential migration plan. In terms of how we decided to choose a software like so important to the discovery process, we're looking for 4 parameters: the quality, service, of course, financial is one, and the culture of the partner. In terms of quality, we're looking for the reliability, which means the software say what it does, or say the software does what is right. We're looking for the extensibility. That means not only we are talking about the migrate system or implement the system, but also we're looking for is that potential we can further develop other things with this framework. We're looking for compatibility and the integration of the existing system. Of course, we're looking for the enterprise architecture, which should be fit to whatever architecture we have. User friendliness, and we're also looking for the the potential pathway of the migration, because we have to understand how much cost we're talking about. In terms of service, we're looking into the consulting we received from ChemAxon, the supporting, the expertise, the skill sets we have, and they have or we have. We're also looking for the style of enhancement. We're looking for, are they going to be willing to help us fulfill certain features? Then also how they can increase, help us to implement some of our needs. Financial part, of course, we're looking for license model. We're looking for how much negotiation power we have. We're looking for what is the cost, the short-term cost cut or long-term saving. In the culture is very important, as we know a company culture does reflect the service they provide. And we're looking for the size, the stability of the company. We're looking for the culture, work ethics, also how they're familiar with our business. The roadmap, we really start with the business intention, looking for market option, as we said, and the first MDL alternative was the preliminary study or evaluation of the market. Then we're looking for business approval to do the in-depth evaluation. Then we start to pilot certain systems to make sure we have the number to report to our manager. And then we have negotiation, and we also start consulting with ChemAxon to understand that collect enough data to implement planning. The last part, of course, is the migration, the system migration data, and we need testing, and I'm going to more focus on the last part right now. In terms of migration approach, we have basically two types of approach we can take. One is the waterfall approach, which has their strengths and the disadvantage. The strength of the waterfall is that we can have a clear cut of the license time. Okay, we also can have a focus team that really focus on this migration and make sure that this project can be finished within the time. Maybe we can shorten the migration time. But this advantage of a waterfall is that we have to have a team really understand what the existing system is and what is the ChemAxon technology is. The reality is, as you may know, our company probably did not have enough skill set to really fulfill that. Plus, I think the disadvantage of a waterfall is very low tolerance to the failure, and also where our resource was not normally 100% focused on these things. We have so many other systems have to keep the lights on. So there's no way we can do that. So we choose the evolutional approach, which has a certain strengths. One is, each migration task can take its own path. And also, you can have flexible resource to arrange. And as I think one of the advantages are that experience we know that the later project can be benefit from the previous project, which they are learning and they are built their skill. The disadvantage of that is we have to have a core license period. That means that during these 2 or 3 years, we need 2 licenses in parallel, and it maybe take a longer time. And also one of the possible problem is the structure information for the previous project versus the later project may somehow interpret differently. So it really depends how we can standardize those process. So we realize there's some disadvantage with evolutional, but we do feel the evolutional approach can deconvolute the complexity of the migration task into more manageable IS project. So in order to do that, the first thing we need to do is do the interdependency analysis and interrelation analysis. Of course, this is just to give you examples. The one of the key messages here is try to tell you that when you will do this kind of analysis, make sure you understand how data be transferred between systems or applications. Are they structure related or they are non-structure related? Try to distinguish these two concepts. Of course, during the migration planning, we actually use, as I mentioned, we use the pilot as the benchmark to understand how much time we're talking about. Then we estimate how long we need for other projects. Also, the interdependency analysis also gave us the opportunity to understand when the project should be done or what the consequences would be. Because for certain systems, there was only one data transfer, so we can maybe do this without really have impact on other systems. So that gave us the not only how long we're talking about it, but also how we can match the time that to minimize the risk of the current productive system. The challenge we have encountered are some general challenges. For example, we are also running, at the same time we do the infrastructure change, we are also changing the organization. We are globally aligned. We used to be a country-centric IS, now is a global IS. So that caused a lot of issues. Not only people are be moving around, the system responsibility to all align with each other. That caused a lot of problem. In the technical side, we also have window operation upgrade, which, as you may know, very painful. And we also have, of course, it has a user acceptance issue because we want, some users still use the old system, really don't see the need of that. As I mentioned, our ICE colleague may not necessarily have enough understanding skill sets of ChemAxon technology. In IS part, we also have the QA process, and PM process, which are more strict to do, so that causes a lot of issue for us. So the approach we have is we built one service, a console called a molecular structure and chemical reaction service. That is organized by the so-called internal expert from different countries and a different area. That serves as an internal expert center for all the systems or all the application users has any issue, any question about the structure-related information, they come to this particular console or the team that I was very lucky to be one of those members to serve for the company. And that really helps to really emphasize on this particular skill sets. Of course, the other challenge is we cannot stop a service because we are, we have to run 24 hours. Also, that will force us to take the evolutional migration plan. One of the challenges we still have is the packaging issue. As you know, Java version changes, and the ChemAxon come with different Java version, different things, and that packaging issue still are improving, and we don't know because we are still working on that, I would say. Now, next few slides are the interviews I conducted with the system leaders, developers. This I did not really put too much effort in terms of how we say that. So those information may not necessarily reflect I would say this information may reflect somehow the experience we have, the skill sets we have. As you know, we are still learning in the learning curve. So I hope this information will be stir up a communication, understanding each other, rather than stir up any debating. these are very in a very the information in is totally we put that in when we have the conversation we put together. So these are we have experience, we have some pain points, we feel there might be opportunity to ChemAxon. One of that, let me just go back. Yeah, one of those we think the ChemAxon support is great. They can able to reproduce the error. They can able to generally help and even put some fix in the next version. The pain point is a way in very specific cases, they are experienced that fix actually introduce other bugs. So I think opportunity here is the maybe better QA or QC process that make sure but I know as I'm on myself a software developer, I know when you have a system more and more complicated, this is getting more and more difficult to do. We're seeing the version change frequently. We feel a little bit difficult to track the detail of each version, what changed, how we changed. The reality is in our company, we're probably not going to follow ChemAxon's version each time. So if you have, say, you have version 7.2, we are still maybe 6.8. So until 7.5 comes, we say, hey, this is a good feature we need, then we probably can jump to that. So we wish that there was some database that we can track those things. So when we see different versions, then we can immediately know what are the consequences, what's the impact we have. We know ChemAxon is a very customer-centric service. They can able to provide service as quick as possible. But as a BI, we feel a little bit, we need to understand better about the roadmap of the company and the future. I think this morning, Alex already mentioned a lot of that. I think it's already resolved a certain concern we have. Marvin technology is very good. They can have handle many chemistry representations. One of this feature, I think we can talk about detail after we talk, is when we deploy the application and we say we want a default of Marvin configurations, the application will pick up the user default application, Marvin. Therefore, because each user may have their detail difference, that causes a little bit difficult for us in support. But the ideal we are thinking about is it possible we can have an application can dictate what default user can use. So that is, all this we can discuss in detail. Integration of the Marvin technology is really good, especially in the swing applications. But in the web application, we encounter difficulties to do that. One of that is how many jar file, how many library we need to introduce to that to make sure to work. We have some certain files they have to go through the web XML. That was a little bit difficult at that time. We wish to have some kind of a cookbook or detailed instruction for us. Quickly, Java API very good. .NET API, we encounter some issue, but I think we discussed yesterday. There was possibly the skill knowledge issue in our side. Database cartridge, this is one of major issue. I think when there was chances that with database or server has to stop somehow and restart. And it requires to restart the server and also register for all the database we need to register for that. And the last happened 2 weeks ago, we have a disaster recovery exercise, which turn everything down and try to turn everything back. You know what the pain we have. Sorry about that, but yeah, this is something we need better control on that. Domain index is very good. Cartridge implementation is very easy, but we have a little bit issue about the R group, the structure R group in our database, especially the interpretation of X is different from MDL to ChemAxon. So this causes a little bit data curation issue. So let's just very quickly. So I think one of the important issue is whenever you do the migration, you want to make sure that your data was not compromised. So in order to make sure that, you have to make sure the data quality, and we use the ChemAxon tools like structure check, structure fixing, and also the standardization to fix those data, which is very helpful, very easy to implement. In terms of how we do that, I think the first things we need to understand what our existing laws, and that requires business engagement to understand that. Then decide we will move forward what the new law should be, and then implement that law and send globally. Now, this is what the molecular structure and the reaction, chemical reaction service does do a very good job to standardize a template for all the applications that so we can interpret the structure information globally and consistently. In order that I mentioned that we need to build the package, we need to implement in the database level, so all the system can be consistently interpreted structure in the same way. We include the basic checks, of course, the groups, the atoms. We also implement the structure check, and also we have our internal BI specific law of certain structure specifics. So quickly, in conclusion, I think this is a very difficult decision for any company. It's a big decision. As you know, we take 5-6 years to finish. But you have to think about this as an investment for next decades, hopefully. It requires commitment from IS and business, especially in the business side. They don't see the huge value from that, but you need them fully commit with us the time. We choose the evolutional approach. We think that can make the job relatively easy to reduce the complexity of the migration and making the project more manageable. We have one of approach we did is we have multiple migration projects. For bigger system, we have independent projects, but we also have one project that covers a lot of small applications. The system independence analysis is very crucial for whole thing, because really you can understanding when, where, how can you minimize the risk of the whole migration. Global aligned and harmonized services we have really help this process to standardize the process and to serve the skill in a very effective way. Also, we have, I think the migration we have is very smooth. So far, we have next month, we have one of the biggest system going to be do field testing. I don't anticipate any issue from that. So we are not finishing yet, but very close to. I think when data curation issue is very important, and make sure don't underestimate that, but don't overestimate it. The reason is if the data is screwed up already, ChemAxon cannot interpret right away, right now. Probably the data was screwed anyway. We at least did not introduce additional problem. So I think the ChemAxon provides a very effective way to do the data creation, especially in the standardization, the structure check part. We think that is very helpful. Another thing is we really want to have a strong support from our end user part, especially the stakeholders. I think because each success is really equal to process improvement time, your customer acceptance. Any of the discount on customer satisfaction and process improvement will discount the whole process, whole success. So here, I think there was many people I need put here. So it's not one person work. It's not even several people's work. It's a whole group. Many, many people work together to make it happen. I think there was a member for the structure service, a member for content management in the research, member for the infrastructure system leaders, and also the ChemAxon support is really critical. So thank you for the time.
I wanted to ask you a question about, you said that there was, in this, I guess it was the inner system analysis, you said that you identified which ones had structures, which ones didn't. How did you help that process? Why did that help your process to
yes.
identify that?
Very good, thank you. Some of the system data transfer, they may include a structure. Some of those may contain structure, but not the data transfer was not related to structure. Therefore, if you have any data, for example, you have more file from, say, our e-learning system to our corporate database, and that contains the structure-related information to transfer. So when you migrate that, you make sure that the system should be deal with together. But if the system has nothing related, structure, but they have, status or whatever, change, those are Oracle features. We don't need to worry about that. So you need to distinguish this kind of data transitions.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Any other questions out there? Before I ask one more. One of the themes this morning was about really connecting with our customer, with the end users. And I know that your success equation had, the end user part was in there. What did you do to I don't know, increase that acceptance?
Yes. I mentioned several times about the molecular structure and the reaction service. That service is not only IS, it includes the business people in there. And of course, key business people in there. So those people are coming into together to understand the need, the rationale of that migration. The really rationale is the financial fact, the feature also. So they understand that they will become the advocator in the business side to tell people, yes, this is what we need to do.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.